Alrighty, let's go live on Facebook. Welcome everybody. It is Thursday night and we are here with our wonderful guest. I am so excited for tonight's talk. We have Ed Harold with us. Welcome, Ed.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Today's topic, guys, is breath control and whole body health. If you guys have not had the opportunity to read Ed's book, I highly recommend it. I actually got it on audio and I gifted to all of the girls on Airway Circle because I thought it was just absolutely fantastic. Such an easy read, listen, and so easy to understand all these concepts that we all love in this world of Airway. You just put it in a way where it's super easy to understand and to comprehend and to relate to. So thank you for writing that book. It's fantastic.
My pleasure. Thanks for your kind words.
Of course, we are going to have Angela. I want to show everybody. Here it is. I don't know if I can see, you guys can see my camera. There Yes. It is, live with breath. Please go get it right now. Angela is going to introduce our speaker and then we're going to keep going.
All right. Thank you, Renata. Ed Harold is an author, motivational speaker, inspirational leader, coach, and educator. Ed's mastery in the science of breath has guided him to apply mindful, conscious breathing practices in the fitness and athletic industry, corporate wellness, and organizational performance programs, as well as lifestyle coaching for individuals. Ed's Breath as Medicine continuing education training supports healthcare, health and wellness coaching, fitness, psychotherapy, and medical fitness industries. Ed blends the fields of neuroscience and the wisdom of contemplation traditions into effective strategies to improve health, performance, and overall well-being. Ed's fluency in mindfulness-based strategies, combined with the belief in the human potential, gives him the depth and understanding to meet individuals and groups' needs across industries and platforms. Ed's books, Life with Breath IQ and EQ equals New You, and Body Mind Business, the business of being within, are a journey in discovering the mind-body relationship that is linked through breath and how this serves as a basis for reducing stress, improving health and well-being, building resilience, and improving both organizational and athletic performance. Ed, thank you for coming on to Airway Circle tonight. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Angela.
Oh, Renata, you're on mute. There we go.
There you go. It's okay. Now I'm good. You guys can hear me good. All right. So what does it mean to live a life with breath?
Wow, that's a pretty deep question.
Thank you, Anne.
The first one, we're just going to lay it right on you.
Our breath is so much more than respiration. It's so much more than just the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. You'll notice when we're mentally or emotionally stressed, there's an absence of breath. There seems to be like we're taking punches in a corner and we're separate from our heart and the desires of what our intention was. And when we begin to add breath to the parts of our life that breath is being taken away from, we find incredible courage. We find strength. We find new analytical tools to slow things down. What is the level of threat here? Incrementally take one step at a time and begin to reclaim something that might have been taken away from us. Life with breath is an expression that allows us to be in our heart, that allows us to feel good about ourselves. It allows us to be a lifelong learner and constantly learn new things every day, rewiring the brain from who we were 10, 20 years ago to who we are now and who we want to be 20 years from now. One of the amazing things about learning how to control your breath is that it allows you to go through life with a resting heart rate, or you have a greater command over your heart rate. So this cardiovascular toning that comes to us by controlling the breath and living with our breath and the opportunities that it brings in the body, which stalls aging in the body. It keeps our joints young and lubricated, and we can move freely in the body with our emotional self, while at the same time, when the brain sees the heart rate under control by controlling our breath, it allows the brain to move into awarenesses that we might not have till 10 years from now, but we have them accessible to our mind today.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Angela.
Yes, I'm on mute. Of course, I asked myself, I don't know why. Okay. Why does the way you breathe matter?
What a great question. What a great question.
Thank you, Ann.
All breathing, when you strip it all away, is diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, your diaphragm moves, whether you're breathing through your mouth, whether you're breathing through your nose, whether you're inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, inhaling through your mouth, exhaling through your nose. Either way, this thoracic diaphragm is going to move. But since I know every person listening to this wants to have a quality life, is a result-oriented person, wants to control situations so they don't control them, we begin to see that optimal diaphragmatic breathing is the key to managing our emotions and managing the mind. And when we can control our breath, in other words, we have this amazing little inhale, which is sympathetic in its qualities. There will be a slight arousal. There will be an organizational attempt in the brain through the cranial nerves. But when we slow that inhale down, we bring parasympathetic qualities of relaxation to something that is organically and naturally sympathetic. So we can feel our way into the present moment. And that is huge to helping the brain help us perceive the finest outcome for what is on our plate in that moment. We know that the exhale is parasympathetic naturally in its qualities. There's lots of good stuff there for us. As a culture, we're not exhaling. And you can see we're all becoming very thin-skinned. It takes nothing to throw us off. But we can also exhale faster if we need to through our nose. And we can bring sympathetic activity to something that's parasympathetic. Or we can learn to train the brain to hang in there with the exhale, complete that moment, extract the oxygen out of the carbon dioxide, add it to the O2 of the next inhale, so you have twice as much oxygenation and calm, so you can live a calm and alert life. So getting control of our breath is one of the fundamental keys to healthy physiology, stalling aging, but also creating mental and emotional boundaries about how we're going to be treated, how we're going to listen and talk to ourselves. And all of these things helps with our perception of our value.
Wow. So I have something to share real quick. Every time that I work, I'm a dental hygienist, and
Yes.
I work one clinical day per week and myofunctional therapy on the other days. But every time that I am in clinical, every patient who sits in my chair, before we begin anything, even the blood pressure, I always have 2 or 3, maybe 4 rounds of inhale 4, pause for 4, exhale 4, pause for 4, and repeat. Yeah. And it, especially for those who are coming in and rushing and, you know, the stressed out moms, and it completely changes the entire atmosphere. Not that I have a bunch of, you know, bad, you know, mean, not nice patients, but it just really sets the stage for having a very successful, calm, prophylactic appointment.
That is just such an amazing gift that you add to the professional services that you're already offering people. And you can customize that 4-4-4-4. So in the morning hours, let's talk about cutting the holding in time to 2 and keeping the exhale at 4 and the holding out at 4.
Mhm.
And then in the afternoon, hold in for 4, but only hold out for 2. So we want to customize the autonomic nervous system to counterbalance what's taking place in the external environment. So when you think about in the morning, we have all this energy. We've just arisen out of bed and there's all this arousal that's going through the body. If we can stay on the exhale and bring more cooling and stay on that little holding out period, we're going to activate a parasympathetic response to the part of the day which is sympathetic, pre-noon.
Wow.
In the afternoon, when energy levels are dropping and the sun is going down and the moon is going up, let's hold in for 4, bring up a little more sympathetic activity, become more a little alert and calm and settle into what's taking place. So we can customize the breathing through the autonomic nervous system, through our nasal channels to counterbalance the external environment. So we use the least amount of energy to get through the day, which leaves us with a reserve of energy so the brain feels safe enough to fall into the deeper delta waves at night.
Wow.
Are you guys writing this down?
I know, right? Exactly. I'm glad that this is recorded. So whenever I'm in the office and I am, breathing with my patients, I always watch for them just because, we're trained anyway for all body movements and gait and all of that. But I watch for the clavicle, breathing versus the diaphragmatic breathing. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and go into the next breathing course or something, because would you mind explaining that?
That is so, first of all, what you're doing is great. It's the next step of airway health. And it's a great thing that you're offering your clients to bring them into autonomic balance prior to your primary job of what you're doing. When you think about, we always have this visualization, or at least I was taught back when the pyramids were way long ago, that this diaphragmatic breath had to come from the belly and it goes all the way up into the ribs, up to rib 1 and 2. And I think that has value. But in today's society, where we have adrenal fatigue, we have peaks and valleys of energy, we're either dialed in or we're dialed out, we can't stay focused mentally. We can train ourselves to take a full diaphragmatic inhale just into the belly and right into the floating ribs. We don't even have to allow the air to move up into the top sleeve of the lungs, because that's where the sympathetic nerve endings are for these fight or flight situations that all primates go through. But most primates, this is real life or death. There's a lot of screaming and hollering for 3 or 4 minutes, and you either live or you don't live. But we're dealing with thoughts, and we want to be in an endurance mode in the body as we move through the day. Mental endurance, emotional endurance. So we need to be burning fat as our primary fuel source as we move through the day. So what if we just said to the clients, I want you to begin to train your awareness that when you're inhaling, just allow the belly to move forward and allow the floating ribs to pull down, but allow that to be your full inhale. So you're only getting the parasympathetic nerve receptors of the lower lobes of the lungs. You're only getting the thoracic diaphragm moving down into the enteric nervous system, getting your serotonin and dopamine, not allowing the air to move up into the collarbone region and allowing that top sleeve of the lung to expand up towards the masseter. So thinking about diaphragmatic breathing maybe a little differently, where you can still take a full inhale, but don't let it rise up to rib 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Angela, first of all, I wanted to say that I wish I knew what I know now when I was still seeing patients in the dental hygiene chair, because that is just genius to get them to do a couple breaths before, so they become aware of where they are. This is just fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. Some people complain or say that they have a very difficult time engaging their diaphragm or knowing exactly how to breathe from the diaphragm. What can we tell them so they can become more aware of their diaphragmatic breathing and how to engage the diaphragm? Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we've all been infants and we've all been young children. So in somewhere in the cerebellum in the back of our brain, we are already masterful breathers. We just had to remember that we've done it before. It's not like you're learning anything new. You're already an unbelievable master breather. You have DNA that's designed through your genes only to breathe through your nose. We've just left it as a culture. So just reminding folks that you've already been taking thousands of breaths in and out through your nose, engaging your diaphragm fully before our ego developed in our younger years. So it's already in here, number one. Number two, the diaphragm's a little tricky because there isn't any sensory fascia on it. It's not like, okay, I'm pinching my forearm, ouch, that hurts. It's a very interesting muscle. And I like to, since you're professionals, I'd like to take the diaphragm away from the word muscle, because muscle to me means like guys in the gym and we're all sweating. The diaphragm, the thoracic diaphragm, is actually an organ. It has hundreds of tasks that it must engage with during each inhale and exhale to keep our blood pressure steady, to keep our heart rate under control, to metabolize the fat stores from our gut, to keep our neuro centers open to learning and curious, or maybe being in our ideas room. So it's interesting when people see the physical description of when you're inhaling, you have this diaphragm which starts at lumbar 4-5. It has these beautiful muscle tendons that come up, and it separates and mediates pressure between our chest cage and our abdominal region. So one of the things that we can do with folks is we can have them visualize that when they're inhaling through their nose, that the thoracic diaphragm is vertically pressing down towards their navel. It's drawing air into the lower lobes of the lungs, and it's the primary muscle or organ to keep the spine straight. You always want to use the least amount of energy as possible to achieve your goals. So if you're a hygienist and you're over people, number one, look at your footwork. You're like a baseball player, a boxer. Your footwork needs to be perfected. Do not be lazy. If you need to move your footwork to keep your spine straight, to breathe through your nose so the thoracic diaphragm keeps your spine straight, and your shoulder blades back and down, and your trachea long, all of these things are going to help you get through your clients using less and less energy as the day goes on. And you're also going to be stronger mentally in the afternoon because you've been burning fat as your primary fuel source during the morning. There's far more energy in incinerating our fat stores than burning our glucose. Most mistakes and emotional outbursts at work happen between 2 and 6. If we can take care of ourselves in the morning, it's great being us in the afternoon. So getting folks to follow the diaphragm down towards the navel on the inhale and up towards the collarbone on the exhale, because this is what's happening. If this is new to them, teach them the ocean sounding breath from the yoga systems so their nostrils won't dilate and pull in. So if nostril breathing is new to you and you've been a mouth breather, when you turn the nostrils back on, there is some collapse that takes place through the nostrils, the nasal channels, and the sinuses, and it's harder. But if you can teach them the ocean sounding breath where you just exhale out like you're trying to fog a mirror, engage your epiglottis, breathe through the throat, your first awareness of air coming in and out through the nose will be when it hits your epiglottis at the top of your trachea. This will flare and dilate the nostrils wider. You'll get more nitric oxide in for an anti-inflammatory response. You'll really aerate those 12 cranial nerves that help the brain be prepared for the moment, fundamentally from safe, unsafe, pain, pleasure, but to all sorts of different learnings that all run through our facial airway system with all these nerves. So learning how to breathe through your throat on the inhale and exhale dilates the nostrils, more nitric oxide, release and relax the eyes and jaw all the time, aerate those frontal pairs of nerves, those cranial nerves, because they're so important to folks that are under stress. We need them. We need to feel safe. And when your face is tight, the brain senses you're not safe, and the amygdala hijacks the moment. Next thing you know, we're in the War Department. So get folks to follow the diaphragm, use the ocean sound, use the hands on the belly, maybe the hands on the ribs, and just start with the basics of getting the breath, number one, out of the collarbone area. Number two, try to stop that mouth exhale. It's exhausting people. It's easy to do, but it's actually depleting our body.
I love the way you explain things. I love it. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Anna had a follow-up question to that, right?
Yes, she says, what is the most appropriate inhalation exhalation ratio?
I like to teach exhale twice as long as the inhale. That ensures, number one, you're extracting the oxygen molecules out of the carbon dioxide. Number two, you're getting a complete exchange, because the exhale, when you think about it, we can only inhale so much due to the strength of our diaphragm and the rib cage. The exhale, there's no ribs here. So training the brain to exhale longer, because the brain is overwhelmed. We're all spinning millions of plates. It's like having 100 books on your nightstand at bed, and you're not getting any of these books done. Our brain is hardwired to complete the task to the best of our ability and then start a new task. Well, the brain never saw computers and emails and phones and social media. So we're in a really transitory place. So one of the little drills that we could do would be just this little way to build our way into it, which would be inhale 2, exhale 4. Inhale 3, exhale 6. Inhale 4, exhale 8, 5, 10, 6, 12, 7, 14. You're going to reach a point where you're going to have to go. At that point, you pause. You know you're doing something really good for yourself because you just reached your VO2 max for nostril breathing at this particular point. You go back 2, 4, 3, 6, 4, 8 to wherever, and darn if you won't make it to the next round. So get to where you can't go anymore through their nose. You'll exhale through your mouth. Take a compassion breath, take a forgiveness breath, or I'm not good enough breath, or whatever it may be, to make you connect back with your heart, and then go back and build the ladder again. And then maybe you take the ladder back down to 2 and 4. So you can incrementally put more and more torque on the system. But the real gift of this is the exhale is the key to being a human being. The inhale is the key to a human doing. Last time I checked, we're human beings. And how we feel about ourselves is a pretty important role in regard to how we're going to cognitively think about particular subjective and objective states. Stay on this exhale for a while, the next couple weeks, and see if you don't have more personal awareness, personal growth, professional opportunities as you relax and move beyond the old barriers that have no bearing on the great person on who you are right now today.
Wow. You mentioned something about VO2 max. Since you just mentioned that, will you explain to some of us?
Yeah.
Exactly what that is?
So the VO2 max would be something you could take on a test where they would have different degrees of resistance on a treadmill or a bike that would give them a number about how high you could bring your heart rate. It has some efficiency for professional athletes and folks that do this for a living. For me, it's really all about breath rates. So before I'm going to run faster around the track, that 440, I'm first going to count the amount of breaths it takes me to run that quarter mile and how many breaths that takes. Before I try to run faster than that, why don't I try to run around that track taking 5 less breaths, which is going to clear my organs of mucus, phlegm, and fat, which is going to get my heart rate higher, even though I'm moving my parts of my body that get injured and need to be repaired by osteo physicians. So try to always get more out of less. And VO2 max is a wonderful old tool. One of the things that we like about nasal breathing is that when you reach your VO2 max, if you've taken the test through your nose, you'll notice that in a matter of 15, 20 seconds, your heart rate will come back down to something manageable where you can feel your legs again, where you can be in your body again. You're not all up in your head and blah, 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 blah. When you do the VO2 max test through your mouth, notice it takes you 2 minutes, 3 minutes to get back into your legs and back into your body, because you've flooded your bloodstream with all sorts of stress hormones and stress neurochemistry. So if you're going to take the VO2 max test, do it through your nose. Protect your heart. How do you protect your heart? You do it by staying connected to your breath, because your respiration per minute, breaths per minute, is going to reflect your heart rates. Your heart rates will reflect blood pressure, energy expenditure. Blood pressure is going to trigger the brain to either be open and neuroplastic or closed and replay an old subconscious film from years ago. And when the brain is open, the body will naturally burn fat rather than our precious glucose. And as we age, we need to become more energy efficient because we don't have the same fire that we had years ago.
Wow. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Extremely. I hope you guys are enjoying as much as I am. How is the breath as medicine approach differ from other breathing training programs?
I have a yoga background, and my yoga background was about the science of pranayama. And pranayama is just a fancy word for prana is energy, and yama means to control the energy, control your awareness. And I learned breathing exercises and breathing techniques first for yoga and therapeutic yoga and meditation, relaxation, yoga nidra, things like that, where you lie down for 10 to 15 minutes and you have this huge neurochemical release where everything's okay. I was taught this by a great Indian saint who had invested his whole life in breath control. He controlled his breath and did different pranayams for 10 hours a day for 30 years straight. That was his life. And he had taken these teachings, and somehow he liked me, and I don't know how things happen, but he downloaded a lot of this information into me. Over a period of time, I began to see that it wedged perfectly into the Western medical model. It wedged perfectly into the American corporate model for communication, and it wedged perfectly into the Western athletic model. So to me, it was just a seamless switch of taking it off the mat, off the cushion, and bringing it out into real life Western situations.
Wow. This is wonderful. You know, I want to go back real quick about the dental office, and I know that we have a lot of dental professionals in here who are working clinical. When it comes back and we talk about nasal collapse, you know, we're wearing an N95, then a level 3. Some people are wearing shields on top of their faces. And, you know, there's the power of nasal breathing, you know, outweighs everything. I will share that I do have those mutes, the nasal plug things, and then
Dilators.
thank you, dilators. It's a late Thursday. And, but I do have some of the other, you know, cheaper ones on Amazon that I do leave in the office in case I forget my mute. And I do find as a suggestion that does help open and help me remember to nasal breathe rather than, you know, continue to open my mouth and breathe, so that I do feel like I am actually inhaling something.
Yeah, beautiful. I think that's a great tool to help open our airway wider. And as you begin to work with more pressure, more air in the lungs, more expansion in the belly, deeper exhales, more deflation of the lungs, you'll notice that the trachea opens almost like a silo. So this is magical for folks that have, well, we all suffer from asthma to some degree. So nasal breathing with different sequences, whether it's fast or slow, increasing the current of the phrenic nerve, increasing the range of motion and strength of the fibers on the thoracic diaphragm, is going to open this windpipe even wider, and then it's going to go up even further and open the sinuses and open the nose, because where there's smoke, there's fire, smoke goes up. This is like an invisible smoke, and everything is going to open up through your eyes, through your sinuses. The mask breathing is really challenging. So it's even worse if you're mouth breathing. So maybe you do some simple 2 to 3 minute breathing exercise to warm up your respiratory system, to get some fire going in your belly, to get your spine warm, energy moving through your hands before you put the mask on. Because with a human body, human brain, it's all about preparation. And either you're preparing to succeed or you're preparing to fail. You have to put in a little extra time, because the body's clock is much different than a man-made clock. So a little bit of warm up before you put a mask on, you're saying to the universe, I care about myself. I love what I do. I'm going to show up fully present for this client. I'm not going to run out of breath myself. So there's something to be said for preparation. So there's simple exercise. Sometimes you want to breathe fast through your nose. Sometimes you want to breathe slow through your nose. Sometimes you want to breathe through both. A great way to warm up the lungs is just take that full diaphragmatic inhale through your nose, let your lungs expand as much as they can. Now that feels like a full inhale, right? It's not. Open your mouth. Swallow some air in. Here goes the top of your lungs. Hold that breath in. That's a full lung expansion. So use the nose as much as you can, and then take a quick burst through your mouth and swallow it down into the body, and you'll really feel the rib cage flare like gills. That's a full inhale. And then let it go through the nose. And then maybe you purse the lips and blow out an imaginary candle right in front of you. So you can use nostril and mouth breathing for full inflation, full deflation, full oxygenation, full carbon dioxide removal. It's all about preparation. There's so many different ways to breathe, and I'm so glad you guys are interested.
We're very interested. I think so. I know I'm not the only one in here.
Sure.
According to Breathe as Medicine philosophy, I know we're talking a lot about nasal breathing. The benefits of nasal breathing in the philosophy of Breathe as Medicine. Would you mind going a little bit more into detail with that?
Breath is medicine.
Yeah.
Breath it's the prerequisite before we enter the present moment. It is the key to help us close the next moment.
That's so
at the
deep.
very, very basic level. Breath is life. We need to be therapeutic. When we go to the workplace, and you're exchanging energy and capital with another person, professional skills, it needs to be therapeutic for the practitioner. You need to protect yourself in regard to what you're doing, the same way a violinist would protect his or her fingers. So breath is medicine is using the breath as the primary tool for every single thing we want as adults. Deeper thoughts, new ideas, stalling aging, tons of compassion and forgiveness, more love in our life. Breath is the original medicine when we go way, 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 way back. So breath strategies were taught to folks who were ill to bring us back into homeostasis. One of the great parts about breath as medicine is that we fall in love with ourselves all over again. It's almost like we have a second childhood, and we can discard some of the uncomfortable, bumpy things that have occurred to us that have brought us to where we are today. We turn into, breath as medicine helps us become master feelers. We can feel everything at a much deeper level, and we can begin to see that everything in our life is happening for our benefit if we can just get our old self out of the way. All of us want to have tremendous amounts of energy to do what we desire personally, with our family, professionally, with coworkers. But at the end of the day, we have to honor what the body can do. The body is not designed to be hyperactive all day long and then get a good night's sleep. We have to use the breath as a medicine to keep us in autonomic balance. The two big nerves that we learn a lot about and learn to harness in breath as medicine is, number one, we amplify the phrenic nerve, which is the motor nerve for the thoracic diaphragm, so we have energy. We learn lots of techniques on how to activate the second most important nerve, the vagus nerve, so that we have relaxed energy. We are calm and excited all at once. We're young and filled with wisdom and old, all in the same moment. Opposites attract. Pain and pleasure are simply the opposite ends of the same stick. You can see beyond your old ego's mysterious tricks that took you away from your heart, and you're dialed in through a felt sense that your life has immense value. You might not be where you want to be, but you know every day, every breath, every thought, you're getting closer to where your particular dream is going to take you this lifetime. You're not separate from your heart. So we get into all sorts of science, and the science is great. All the science around breath is super positive, and I'm really excited to be a part of that. But it's how we apply the breath therapeutically to our life, to these moments, to our friends, to our family members, to our patients. All of this helps us have spiritual moments through the science of breath.
And I'm loving that side of it. Not many people talk about, the spiritual side and the emotional that has to do with breathing. So I really appreciate you bringing that. You partially answered this question, but I'm going to ask anyways. How can breath be applied to everyday life to improve health? Is this accessible to anyone and everyone?
Yeah. So anyone who's breathing has the ability to control the length, depth, and pace of their inhale and exhale at the most fundamental level. Every single being on the entire life is already been a perfected breather at the highest levels. You just don't remember it. So it's inside us. Our DNA is designed only for us to respire life in our cells through our nose. The mouth breathing is only designed to take a life or not become someone else's food. It's very, very simple. It's only designed for 2 or 3 minutes, a quick burst of energy to remove yourself from danger or get food. Everything else is designed to be respired through the nose. And when we can get people, I think a lot of folks are afraid of slowing down. They're afraid that they're going to be caught by some imaginary villain in their head. And we're rushing in everything that we're doing, and we're never getting there fast enough to please our ego. And we're depleted, and we don't know how to have a deep conversation and look people in the eye anymore. And these are the real beautiful things about being a human being. When you slow your breath down, you will feel your thoughts. Any thought that resists being felt, you have some work there to do on yourself. Go for a run with it. Go for a bike with it. Take it for a swim. Go talk it out. Go have a steak with it.
Wow.
But do something with it, because there's something there for you where you're going to find out that there is a fear or insecurity that is camouflaging your greatest strength. So when we notice a thought that doesn't want to be felt, we relax. We know that it's here to help. It's not the enemy. We slow our breath down, and we take that boulder of thought and we break it down into smaller rocks, and then a few more breaths and it comes into pebbles, and then a few more breaths, it's just dust. And then you begin to see, oh my God, that's why I've been thinking that. I was all wrong. I thought that was what my life was all about, and it wasn't. So taking these huge masses of neural activity, slowing the breath down and not being scared anymore, and breaking it down and beginning to break it into small, and turn back to it and say, what do you want from me? I'm a mom. I'm working as hard as I can. I've got things to do with, classes, and it's my son and my daughter. It's like, if you're not here to help, you got to get out. Okay, because I got a lot to do. So just thinking about how you can use the breath, just slow down your breath. What are you afraid of? Why are we rushing the end? Why don't we push the end so far away that we don't even think about it? And all we're concerned about is how I'm showing up right here, right now, heart first, head second.
That's great. Oh my gosh. I'm sold. Wow. You're really speaking to me here. I know you're speaking to a lot of people here, but wow. In the comments, Michael says, I've been using BiPAP for 6.5 years. Is there a way to exercise yourself out of needing BiPAP?
We got to start back in the beginning. So when I'm introducing a breathing exercise to myself, to my brain, I introduce it to the brain with absolutely nothing else going on. So I'll introduce a particular technique that I want to do in exercise while I'm on my couch or while I'm seated in a chair. Nothing else is going on. Everything else is turned off. And I'm introducing this breath control, whatever it may be, whatever, holding in, holding out, fast through the nose, fast through the mouth, whatever it may be, I'm introducing it to the brain without anything else going on. Then I'll take it out on the road and I'll do very low impact. I'll try it walking. I'll try it with light weights. I'll try it in a yoga posture. And then after a couple of weeks, then I'll gradually take that technique into maybe something that is a little more intense. But we always start where there's nothing else going on. It's very quiet, just like it was thousands of years ago. And we're just trying to sell this to the brain, getting the brain to become interested in it. And it will. And then taking something that's very, very low impact and trying something like that. And just, you're sitting back as kind of like your body and mind are like a laboratory, and you're the scientist with the beakers and the test tubes, and you're trying techniques on, and you're watching. When I do this, this happens. When I do this, this happens. And you're making mental notes the whole time. The brain's learning new things. It's being neuroplastic. There's so many different things going on. So always start with stillness, lighter movement, and then moving into what you're doing now. But preparation is the key. We don't want to shock the system. We don't want to agitate the mind. We want to keep the heart rate down, and we want the brain to trust what the body is bringing to it from the particular breath control techniques that you're practicing. I hope that helps.
I think that also it's important to know why somebody needs a BiPAP. Why does somebody need a CPAP machine? There's different, is it a UARS? Is it sleep apnea? So it's very important to work with the sleep physician to find out exactly where the obstruction is. Is it the uvula? Is it the soft palate? Is it the tongue? Is it the epiglottis, vocal cords? I mean, there could be so much. So it's important to know, have a good picture of the reason why you need one of those machines, and then you'll be able to work exactly on that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Angela, is it your turn?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. What are the different categories of airway patients, and how can we best capture them during screening at a young age?
I don't know the exact languaging that you guys use.
I don't understand what's the different categories. Anne, do you want to come on and explain to us? What do you mean by that? Is Anne here?
I see her name. She's muted. Anne, if you're listening, if you could unmute yourself. But best capture during screening at a young age. Do you have anything to answer about maybe suggesting about screening at a young age, things to look for?
Here's what happens, what I see with children. When I see children that are acting out inappropriately, when they're having an emotional event, I see hyperventilation. I see a loss of control from the breath, and this causes even more energy to rise up that the child at that age is psychologically not able to handle. The child does not want to act out. It doesn't have the skills to control the energy that's coming up, and the hyperventilation is exacerbating the disruptive behavior, whether it be physical or mental. So getting the child to keep their mouth closed is huge. Not letting that energy out through the mouth. When I see a child that's having an event, in the past, what I've done is I've gone over, I've asked if it's okay if I could hold your hand, and then I invite them to close their mouth and take 5 deep breaths through their nose, and the event passes like a cloud in the sky. It really is, in 99% of the cases, that simple of just cutting off the adrenaline energy supply that's feeding the brain and the higher heart rate, where emotions are overpowering reason and intellect. Learning how to just, okay, I've been triggered, keep the mouth closed, and ride the crest of the wave all the way up to the beach. And it's going to take somewhere, depending on the child, 5 to 10 breaths, and just letting them know that they're not bad. It is okay. They're just learning how to handle hormones, different thought forms. There's different social behaviors that they're seeing, and everybody wants to fit in. And breath control in a child will lead to self-control, and self-control will lead to greater self-respect and a sense of value, and there'll be less acting out. So whenever you see the child moving into developmental stages of their psyche, we want that to remind them that the mouth needs to remain closed when we're going through an emotional event. And then they'll begin to wire their brain that when these events occur, the amygdala won't go crazy, the hypothalamus won't fire off, the HPA axis won't go off, there won't be all this, whatever that is, or we want to call it clinically, but they'll be calm, self-control. The child will have a toolbox that he or she can harness, say a 1 or 2 or 3 step program that is very simple to teach, that they can self-correct their life when they need to. And when you can do that when you're 5, you're going to be great when you're 25.
Wow. I've caught my 2-year-old when he gets stressed out, he'll go on purpose. And I'm like, stop, man, click your tongue. I can do anything. Somebody, I think was Dr. from Wisconsin, recently mentioned in our Facebook group that his daughter has taught his grandchildren to hold a spoon in their mouth when they get upset. You know, you can, because then they will have to nasal breathe.
Beautiful.
I tried. Benny threw the spoon across the room. But he's 2, so he's still learning. You're gonna have to learn.
Well, this is great training. No 2-year-olds are being taught this. At least not in the civilized world.
I know, right? But
in the third world countries and tribes, this is taught to all children.
Gosh, kids are so different in other parts of the world. How can you implement nasal breathing to improve athletic performance? Is mouth breathing ever appropriate, particularly when engaged in intense sports or fitness activities?
So I've trained myself that I can't get my heart rate up high enough to breathe through my mouth. So it's wired into my brain, right? Again, it's about preparation. So how could we prepare the system for intense activity where there's going to be a sky high heart rate, like you're running a 5K as hard as you can, or you're doing a 2K erg piece, or you have a 20-mile bike race. It's all about preparation. So here's the little step that I like to do to warm my system up before I'm going to get into something super heavy. Inhale 6, exhale 12. And I'll do that for 6 rounds. So it's inhale 6, and this comes from Dr. Stephen Elliott, who wrote The New Science on Breath. Talks about how the deeper rhythms of the body work on a 6 count. It's also from Dr. John Douillard, who wrote Body, Mind, Sport way back in the 90s out of Boulder, Colorado, lifespa.com. Inhale 6, exhale 12. Why do you want to do that? Well, because that longer exhale, you're stretching the exhale muscles, you're warming the system up, and you're staying on that exhale. So even though that's cooling, you're actually going to sweat a little more because you're staying on the exhale longer. So you're going to warm yourself up by staying inhale 6, exhale 12. Next, inhale 6, hold 6, exhale 12. Notice after you started with that 12 count exhale, when you hold in for 6, you've so oxygenated your body from the oxygen to the carbon dioxide, you can hold your breath in for a 6 count and your heart rate won't go up. Amazing. Then inhale 6, hold 6, exhale 6, hold out for 6. So you've cut the exhale back down to 6 from 12. It's going to be very easy to exhale 6. There's going to be stale air in your lungs that hasn't been exchanged. That's going to be incinerated from your cells when you hold out for 6. So inhale 6, exhale 12. Inhale 6, hold 6, exhale 12. Inhale 6, hold 6, exhale 6, hold out for 6. That's the warm up. Now, we haven't talked about this. Breathing fast through your nose. Some of the yoga schools call it breath of fire, Kapalabhati, Bhastrika. There's all sorts of different names. Guess what? If you do the breath of fire in cardio for 2 rounds or 3 rounds, it's a cooling breath. It gets the high levels of carbon dioxide out. It satiates the part of the brain that senses danger from low oxygen. So you get a quick inhale and then a quick exhale. It's just 2 or 3 rounds. It reboots the autonomic system. You don't have to pant through your mouth And you can go back to that nasal inhale, nasal exhale, and you'll work your way through progressions that every time you feel the need to breathe through your mouth, instead you breathe through your nose fast 2 or 3 times, and you'll train your brain not to dump all that CO2 energy back out into the field. You're going to lose all that oxygen. Your spine will round because you've lost the support of the spine through the mouth exhale. Dehydration will set in. Adrenal glands are going to fire off, and you can't get that stuff out in the heat of battle. So the high-end athletes that I work with who work at really intense levels, we teach them to use the Kapalabhati or the Bhastrika breath, but only for 1 to 3 rounds to reboot the cardiovascular, autonomic, and neurological systems. Practice it and let me know how it goes.
You know, I just
don't
did
know
it.
if I can do 12. That's going to be a lot of practice. I'm up for the challenge, but that's wow.
Well, just do 5 and 10 or 4 and 8. It doesn't have to be 6 and 12.
Okay.
So just what your common denominator is your first number, and you want to, try to pick a number that you can manage. So if you start with 4, inhale 4, exhale 8, do that 5 or 6 rounds, and then inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 8, and then inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold out for 4. So you want to set the table. Listen, when you're doing exercise, here's how you do it. You warm up the respiratory system first. That's the most important part. You already know how to be a great runner. You don't know how to breathe. You warm up the respiratory system first, the cardiovascular second, and the moving parts, the neuromuscular skeletal system third. You do it from the inside out. The brain loves this. Most Western exercise happens from the outside in. I do it the other way. I start to do this, my heart rate goes up. My brain says, oh my gosh, look at all this carbon dioxide. Now I'm going to change my breath. It's too late. You've already flooded your system with adrenaline and cortisol, and your patterns of movement will become impaired.
Wow. This is insane.
I know. I'm almost speechless.
So
I'm
I hope everybody's practicing with us.
I was watching you, Renata, when he was saying, when Ed was talking about that, I was watching you and I'm like, oh, I'm doing it too. And I could see. Oh, I have a question about your e-learning course. What can Breathe as Medicine e-learning course offer to healthcare professionals?
It's good. There's 2 courses. There's a 15-hour and a 25-hour. What you're going to learn in this course is tools to become better at what you're doing and use less energy and be more energy efficient when you're doing it. So you're going to become more self-aware of the primary energy source in and out is the breath. You'll learn 8 to 10 different breathing exercises at a very deep level to raise energy, bring energy down, how to move through your day, how to be in autonomic balance, how to fall asleep at night, how to fall back asleep when the melatonin secretions stop at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can bring serotonin back up. So in 5 to 10 breaths, you can simply channel how the air is coming into the brain, get the parasympathetic response of serotonin back, and you can fall back asleep, because we know serotonins are prerequisite for melatonin. But if you're exhausted during the day and you've taken many breaths and there's been many thoughts, and you've taken many steps, there's not enough time between 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock for the body to clear that out. And when 2 o'clock comes and the melatonin secretion stops, you're going to be tossing and turning and panicked. So we get people right back to sleep right away, organically and naturally at 2 o'clock in the morning. So you're going to learn how breath, bringing that to the foreground of every single thing you're trying to do. You will become more efficient. You will love yourself more. You will laugh and smile more, and you'll find a greater sense of self to what you've chosen to go through in your life.
When you just spoke about it there, my brain just went, because you said that serotonin is the precursor for melatonin. All these kids that we work with do not have their tongue up on the roof of their mouth. Whenever you push on we call it the spot, you're pushing on the nasopalatine nerve, which will promote serotonin to come out. So they're not having that. And those are mainly the kids that have to take melatonin to sleep at night. That just makes so much sense. Not so much sense.
Notice you can't mouth breathe with your tongue on the top of your mouth. It's impossible.
That's what we do.
So think about that. Think about the fundamentals of why we need to breathe through our nose and what mouth breathing is really for. And in modern society, we are safe. We are not going to be eaten by a lion.
Right.
At the end of the day, we must deal with our anger. Hate is not an appropriate response. We have to calm down and use our heart and brain, reason with the moment, and find alternatives to deal with resistance and things that we don't agree with.
Wow.
Violence is not a solution.
If you guys enjoyed this talk, you really need to get Ed's book. It is just like the 1 hour was tonight. It's his whole book. Everything that he says is just like. I would like to give one of his books away. So for everybody that's watching right now on Facebook and over here on Zoom, you guys can just share, either take a screenshot or a picture of with your phone and share on your social media. Make sure you guys tag Ed Harold and Airway Circle. So I will pick somebody to give a free book by tomorrow morning. I'll pick. I just want to let you guys know that next Thursday we have Dr. Pia Gandhi with us. She is absolutely fantastic. We met her at the American Laser Study Club in Las Vegas. And
Thank you, Ann.
Tuesday is the 5th, I think. We have our second podcast episode of Dear Mama with Dr. Catherine Murphy featuring Dr. Tammy Button. Super excited about the episode. I've already listened to it. You guys are going to enjoy it. And our course opens up tomorrow, Launch Your Inner Mayo. If you guys need help setting up your business and getting some ideas of how to market and extra exercises and things of that nature, please join us. We are giving away, if you bring a friend with you, you both are going to have access to Circle Time. And I'm going to take this time to go ahead and let you guys know a little bit about Circle Time. It's going to be April 19th. We have Dr. Samira Jafari and Beth Sohail. They're going to be talking about a tongue tie release case. And we have news about Circle Time. We're not going to be doing research reviews anymore. We're actually going to have a group message of a closed, just that Circle Time group that we can share patient photos, videos, asking questions to the other professionals there. It's an encrypted messaging platform, so it's super safe. Very excited because that's live. We're on our phones all day. So if you have a question about a patient, post it over there. If you want to share something that you just saw, it's going to be a group for a study club. So super exciting. If you guys sign up for Launch Your Inner Mayo, you and a friend, you both get access for 4 months for Circle Time. What else do we have going on? I think that's it, right, Angela?
Yeah, I'm actually looking around right now. I'm just trying to find the website so that I could post the website to register or at least get more information. But my goodness, there's so much information on the Instagram Airway Circle page that talks all about what Launch Your Inner Mayo is about and such. But yeah, awesome. The lineup for April looks amazing.
I know we have speakers until July, guys. We are full until July, and every speaker is just out of this world. So good. Ed, I am so happy that you accepted my invitation to be here with us tonight. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I really hope everybody has the opportunity to not only listen to your book, but take a look at your courses. Can any health professional, hygienist are okay taking your course?
Sure.
Hygienist? Yeah, we're
sure.
good.
Everybody will get value regardless of where you are in your career.
Perfect. Awesome. I will post Ed's website on our Airway Circle Facebook group. If you guys want to go take a look at the course, we need to do a special course for Airway Circle members because this is fantastic.
We will.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night. This is going to be recorded and available for our members starting tonight. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, but share this with your friends and colleagues that you think could benefit from learning all about breathing, airway issues, and myofunctional disorders. Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful night. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Don't be
Thank you.
great.
Yes. Oh, hold on. Yes, I did say that you're going to end. Hold on. Don't go. I had told Ed throughout his book, he has several quotes and I love them all. But I said, Ed, tonight I would like you to end with a quote, and go ahead.
I think the quote that comes to me right now in my life is that my heart will not allow me to show up small anymore in my life. So go be great, everyone.
That was
Thank
awesome.
Bye.